Welcome back to CrimePod Chronicles. I'm Mike.
And I'm Tori. And Mike, I think we have a truly fascinating, almost unbelievable story for our listeners today.
Oh, absolutely, Tori. Today we're diving deep into the world of Anna Delvey, or should I say Anna Sorokin, the infamous fake heiress who for years managed to live a life of incredible luxury and deception right under everyone's noses in New York City.
Yeah, it's just why. I mean, her story's been all over the place, books, TV shows, but we're going to peel back the layers and really get into the nitty gritty of how she pulled it all off. It's a journey through glamour, audacious con artistry, and really the true cost of living a complete lie.
It's almost stranger than fiction, isn't it? So get ready because we're about to explore how one woman captivated and ultimately swindled some of the most influential people in the city.
So, Mike, let's start at the beginning, right? Before she was Anna Delvey, she was Anna Sorokin. And her origins, they're not quite as glamorous as she made them out to be.
Right. And her family, her father was a truck driver. Her mother owned a small convenience store. Very normal by all accounts.
Yeah.
Then when Anna was 16 in 2007, they actually moved to Germany, to North Rhine-Westphalia.
Yeah, and even there, her father transitioned into an executive role at a transport company, eventually opening his own HVAC business. Her mother remained a housewife, so still, pretty standard middle-class life. Nothing about this screams wealthy heiress.
Exactly. And it gets even more mundane, if you will. She attended a Catholic grammar school in Eschweiler, Germany. Her peers apparently described her as quite quiet. And get this, she even struggled with the German language, which is kind of ironic given her later claims.
Interesting detail. So after school, she briefly tried art school in London, but dropped out, went back to Germany, and then eventually interned for a French fashion magazine called Purple in Paris. And it was around that time, apparently, that she really started to, concoct this whole Anna Delvey identity.
Yeah, that's when it clicked. She started using the surname Delvey, claiming it was her mother's maiden name, even though her parents later said they had no idea what she was talking about. It's wild because she'd be getting rent money from them, small subsidies, while already building this elaborate lie.
So it was this slow, meticulous crafting of a persona. She wasn't just, born into this identity. She built it from the ground up, fabricating this backstory of immense wealth and influence, all designed to, as we'll see, pave her way into those exclusive, unsuspecting circles. And that's where New York City comes in, right? She arrives in 2013, and it's almost like she found her natural habitat. The text says she found it easier to make friends in New York than Paris.
Yeah, I mean, that's a key line, isn't it? She transfers to Purple's New York office, but she quickly realizes that interning isn't going to get her where she wants to be. So what does she do? She comes up with this grand vision, the Anna Delvey Foundation.
Oh, the famous Anna Delvey Foundation. It wasn't just a small idea either. This was going to be a private members club and arts foundation. And get this, Tori, she planned to lease the entire church missions house. We're talking 6 floors, 45,000 square feet in New York City.
45,000 square feet? That's an enormous undertaking for someone who, didn't actually have a multi-million euro trust fund as she claimed. It just screams ambition, but also utter delusion at the same time.
Absolutely. And she envisioned it as this multi-purpose events venue, an art studio with pop-up shops curated by artists she met while interning, like Daniel Arsham, and even exhibitions by huge names like Urs Fischer, Damien Hirst, Jeff Koons, Tracy Emin. She even got planning help from the son of Santiago Calatrava, a famous architect.
So she's not just dreaming small, she's dreaming huge, right? And using these legitimate names to add weight to her proposal. But of course, she's leveraging this completely invented identity to infiltrate these elite social circles. She's securing meetings, building this network among the wealthy and influential figures in the city.
Exactly. She's talking to people like Rue Rogers about selling drinks at the venue. It's like she's fully immersed in this world, acting the part perfectly, even though behind the scenes, there's absolutely no legitimate financial backing for any of this. It's all based on, well, thin air.
Yeah, and that's the wild part. She's not just talking the talk. She's actually trying to put these pieces in place, making it seem incredibly real, despite the fact that her entire persona and supposed wealth are just, completely fabricated. She was really good at that, getting people to believe her.
Yeah, she's certainly putting on a show, but a show that costs a lot of money. And this is where the real audacity kicks in, right? She needs to actually fund this incredibly lavish lifestyle and this grand foundation idea, even though she has, absolutely no legitimate money.
Right, no legitimate dime, as the outline says. So how did she manage that? This is where the art of deception truly comes into play. She was creating fake financial documents, Mike, like actual bank statements.
Oh, I remember reading about that. The text says she used Microsoft Word, of all things, to create fake bank statements showing she had 60 million euros in Swiss bank accounts. 60 million! And then she'd claim she couldn't access them because they were like in trust or something, and she was in the U.S.
Exactly, and not just bank statements. She forged multiple wire transfer confirmations. So she's creating these fake documents, these fraudulent checks, and then using them to trick, get this, banks, acquaintances, realtors, anyone who could give her cash or large loans without collateral.
It's incredible. She was literally pulling money out of thin air. Like, she convinced City National Bank to give her a temporary overdraft facility for $100,000, promising to repay it promptly. And she used fake AOL email addresses for a quote-unquote non-existent business manager named Peter Henneke. When that raised flags, she just invented a new persona, Bettina Wagner, and claimed Peter had died.
Wow, that's bold. And then she actually remitted that $100,000 to Fortress for a loan application. But that's when they started getting suspicious because her paperwork had discrepancies. Like, she claimed German heritage, but her passport said Russia. Just little cracks starting to show in the facade.
Yeah, but it didn't stop her. She was living large. The text mentions she funded residencies in multiple upscale hotels. We're talking places like the 11 Howard, the Beekman, the Mercer, and she just rack up these massive bills.
Oh, absolutely. She'd deposit fraudulent checks, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars worth, into an account, withdraw $70,000 before the checks bounced, and then use that cash for whatever she wanted. She even booked a $35,000 private jet through Blade Air Mobility with a forged wire transfer confirmation. Just audacious.
She truly was living without a legitimate dime. And it wasn't just hotels. She was buying luxury clothes, electronics, getting a personal trainer, even $800 for hair highlighting and $400 for eyelash extensions. I mean, it was a full-on high-end lifestyle funded entirely by, deception.
It's astounding how long she kept it up, really. This wasn't just like a weekend scam. This was her entire existence for years, relying on these forged documents and manipulative tactics. She had everyone fooled for quite a while.
It truly is. And it's astounding, like you said, how long it actually went on for. But all good things, or in this case, bad things, must come to an end. And this elaborate facade really started to crumble during what's become known as the infamous Morocco trip.
Ah, yes, the Morocco trip. This is where Rachel Deloche Williams comes in, right? She was a photo editor at Vanity Fair at the time. Anna invited her, along with a personal trainer named Casey Duke, and a videographer on what Anna claimed was an all-expenses-paid trip to Morocco.
Right, an all-expenses-paid trip. Sounds lovely, doesn't it? Anna apparently told them she needed to reset her ESTA, and they booked this incredibly luxurious riad at La Mamounia, a 5-star hotel in Marrakesh. We're talking $7,000 a night, Mike, 3 bedrooms, private pool, dedicated butler, and Anna was supposedly planning a behind-the-scenes documentary about her foundation.
Yeah, but it didn't take long for the cracks to show. After just a few days, the hotel staff couldn't charge Anna's credit cards, and they, demanded an alternative form of payment.
Oh, I can just picture it. Anna probably pulled out all her classic excuses, right? Like, oh, the staff must have typed the numbers wrong, or their system's down. The text actually says that because there wasn't a valid card on file, a hotel staff member ended up getting fired.
That's just awful. And then the audacity of her to convince Rachel to put the entire $62,000 bill on her own personal and work credit cards. Rachel's net salary for a year was less than that. Anna promised to reimburse her via wire transfer, of course.
And it wasn't just the hotel. Rachel ended up paying for the flights, some items Anna bought, even a private tour of the Marigold Garden, all with promises of reimbursement that, as we know, never fully came. Rachel was only repaid about $5,000 of that $62,000.
Which meant Rachel had to, borrow money from friends just to pay her own rent. Thankfully, American Express eventually removed about $52,000 of those charges from her credit cards. But this whole debacle, it was the pivotal moment, really.
It absolutely was. Rachel started contacting other acquaintances who had also lent Anna money and hadn't been repaid. And when she heard all these different, backstories about Anna's parents' alleged wealth, it finally clicked. Rachel realized Anna was committing fraud. This whole elaborate lie started to unravel right then and there.
Yeah, that Morocco trip was the beginning of the end for Anna Delvey's grand performance. It set her downfall in motion, ultimately exposing her true nature to those closest to her and, eventually, to the authorities. So the Morocco trip really opened Rachel's eyes, and, I guess other people started connecting the dots too, right? Because Anna's house of cards was, collapsing.
Yeah, absolutely. The unpaid bills were piling up everywhere she went. She was evicted from the Beekman Hotel for an $11,000 bill, then tried the same scam at the W New York downtown and was evicted there too for over $500 in theft of services. By July 2017, she was basically homeless. Homeless? Wow. From private jets and 5-star Riads to sleeping in a car or begging friends for a place to stay. It's quite the fall, isn't it? She even tried to dine and dash at a Le Parker Meridian restaurant.
Yeah, and when she got caught, she apparently told the police she could get a friend to pay the bill in 5 minutes. Just always an excuse, huh? And this is when the Manhattan district attorney started investigating her for bank fraud, which is a pretty serious deal.
Oh, for sure. And things escalated quickly. In August 2017, she allegedly deposited 2 bad checks worth $15,000 into her signature bank account and then, withdrew $8,200 in cash before those checks, bounced.
And that's where law enforcement stepped in, right? Specifically, Michael McCaffrey, a police officer with the NYPD working with the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. They really started to close in on her.
They did, and Rachel Williams was actually instrumental in her arrest. Remember how she helped them? Anna was staying at Passages Malibu, which is a luxury rehab facility, and McCaffrey needed to get her into a public place for the arrest.
Right, so Rachel helped arrange a lunch meeting at a restaurant outside the facility, and when Anna left, boom, Los Angeles Police Department officers were there to arrest her. Talk about a dramatic end to her vacation.
Super dramatic. And it wasn't just a simple arrest either. Later that month, a grand jury convened, and Anna was indicted on multiple counts of attempted grand larceny, and misdemeanor theft of services.
So all those fraudulent loan applications, the bounced checks, the unpaid trip to Morocco, and all the hotel and restaurant bills, they all just caught up to her in one big, legal swoop. The elaborate scheme was finally exposed to the world. So the sting operation worked. She's arrested, indicted, and then boom, her story just exploded in the media, didn't it? Everyone was fascinated by this fake heiress.
Oh, absolutely. The whole concept just captured people's imaginations. It was like the ultimate cautionary tale of aspiration and deception in New York City. The media couldn't get enough.
Yeah. And her trial became this huge spectacle. I mean, it started on March 20, 2019. And even before that, while she was at Rikers Island, she was reportedly pretty defiant. She had like 13 infractions for misbehavior, even spent Christmas in solitary confinement.
Yeah, that's right. And it wasn't just her behavior. Her courtroom appearances became a whole thing, too. She even had a wardrobe stylist sourcing outfits for her.
Can you believe that? Like, from a Rikers Island uniform to a Michael Kors shift dress or a sheer Saint Laurent top with Victoria Beckham trousers? It's just so Anna, isn't it? So bold.
It really is. And she even refused to enter the courtroom one Friday because she didn't like her jail-issued clothing. It's like she was putting on a show, even in court. It just solidified this image of her being completely unbothered by the gravity of her situation.
She totally leaned into it, didn't she? So after all that drama, on April 25th, 2019, the jury found her guilty of 8 charges. That included grand larceny in the second degree, attempted grand larceny, and theft of services.
But interestingly, she was found not guilty of a couple of things, like the attempted grand larceny related to the original loan application with City National, and the second-degree larceny regarding Rachel Williams' $62,000 from the Morocco trip. So, a mixed bag.
Right, but still, a lot of guilty verdicts. And before her sentencing, she gave that infamous quote, "I'd be lying to you and to everyone else and to myself if I said I was sorry for anything." Just wow.
Yeah, talk about no remorse. And then on May 9, 2019, she was sentenced to 4 to 12 years in state prison. She was also fined $24,000 and ordered to pay $199,000 in restitution. That restitution included $100,000 to City National, $70,000 to Citibank, and about 2/3 of the amount owed to Blade. The wild part is a lot of that restitution and the fines were actually paid from the $320,000 Netflix paid her for the rights to her story.
So she essentially used the proceeds from her story to pay for the consequences of her actions. She even got to keep $22,000 from that deal, despite owing a lot more in legal fees to other firms that the court didn't force her to pay. It's a wild twist, isn't it? Yeah, it's a wild twist, isn't it? So she's convicted, sentenced to 4 to 12 years. What happens next? Does she just serve her time and then that's it?
Well, not exactly. It's another layer to her story, actually. She was initially housed at Bedford Hills Correctional Facility, then moved to Albion Correctional Facility. And then on February 11, 2021, she was actually released from state prison on parole.
Okay, so released on parole. Does she just go back to a normal life or?
No, not at all. You'd think that, right? But just 6 weeks after her release on March 25, 2021, ICE, that's Immigration and Customs Enforcement, took her into custody.
Oh, wow. Why ICE? What was the reason this time?
Apparently for overstaying her visa. So she's released from state prison and then immediately detained by ICE in a New Jersey county jail awaiting deportation back to Germany. She actually tried to fight it legally, but an immigration judge ruled that if she were freed, she would have the ability and inclination to continue to commit fraudulent and dishonest acts.
Yikes. So she's back in jail, just, a different kind of detention. And I remember hearing something about her having issues in jail, with COVID-19.
Yeah, that's right. In January 2022, while she was still in jail, she tested positive for COVID-19 and was put in quarantine. And get this, she even joined a class action suit through the American Civil Liberties Union, alleging that ICE had refused her multiple requests for a vaccine booster. She'd only received the single-dose Johnson & Johnson vaccine before that.
Unbelievable. So
What finally gets her out of this ICE detention?
Well, in October 2022, she was granted a $10,000 bail bond and finally released from jail. But of course, there were conditions. She was required to remain under 24-hour home confinement with electronic monitoring and no access to social media. She was living in like a 470 square foot apartment in the East Village in Manhattan.
So basically, house arrest. And has that been like the continuous situation since then?
Pretty much, though it's changed a bit. Early in 2024, she was allowed to move her house arrest to the Hudson Valley, to the home of her friend Kelly Catrone. And then as of August 2024, her access to social media was actually restored, and her house arrest was extended to a 75-mile radius around the home.
Interesting. So she's still under house arrest, but with a little more freedom and access to social media again. It seems like Anna Delvey just keeps finding ways to stay in the spotlight, even under restrictive circumstances.
Yeah, it's a wild twist, isn't it? So she's convicted, sentenced to 4 to 12 years. What happens next? Does she just like serve her time and then that's it?
Well, not exactly. It's another layer to her story, actually. She was initially housed at Bedford Hills Correctional Facility, then moved to Albion Correctional Facility, and then on February 11th, 2021, she was actually released from state prison on parole.
Okay, so released on parole, did she just like go back to a normal life or?
No, not at all. You'd think that, right? But just 6 weeks after her release on March 25th, 2021, ICE, that's Immigration and Customs Enforcement, took her into custody.
Oh, wow. Why ICE? What was the reason this time?
Apparently for overstaying her visa, so she's released from state prison and then immediately detained by ICE in a New Jersey County jail, awaiting deportation back to Germany. She actually tried to fight it legally, but an immigration judge ruled that if she were freed, she would have the ability and inclination to continue to commit fraudulent and dishonest acts.
Yikes. So she's back in jail, just, a different kind of detention. And I remember hearing something about her having issues in jail, like with COVID-19.
Yeah, that's right. In January 2022, while she was still in jail, she tested positive for COVID-19 and was put in quarantine. And get this, she even joined a class action suit through the American Civil Liberties Union, alleging that ICE had refused her multiple requests for a vaccine booster. She had only received the single-dose Johnson & Johnson vaccine before that.
Unbelievable. So what finally gets her out of this ICE detention?
Well, in October 2022, she was granted a $10,000 bail bond and finally released from jail. But, of course, there were conditions. She was required to remain under 24-hour home confinement with electronic monitoring and no access to social media. She was living in, like, a 470 square foot apartment in the East Village in Manhattan.
So basically house arrest. And has that been like the continuous situation since that?
Pretty much, though it's changed a bit. Early in 2024, she was allowed to move her house arrest to the Hudson Valley, to the home of her friend Kelly Catrone. And then as of August 2024, her access to social media was actually restored. And her house arrest was extended to a 75-mile radius around the home.
Interesting. So she's still under house arrest, but with a little more freedom and access to social media again. It seems like Anna Delvey just keeps finding ways to stay in the spotlight, even under restrictive circumstances. So, yeah, Anna Delvey always finding a way to make headlines, even from house arrest. It's pretty wild how she just pivots, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, you'd think after all that she'd, maybe lay low, but no, she just keeps finding these new ventures. Like, I heard about her getting into the art world, right?
Oh, definitely. She actually sold $340,000 worth of her art. Can you believe it? The proceeds were used to post bail and even pay for 3 months of rent for her East Village apartment.
That's incredible. So she's profiting off her notoriety? And what kind of art was it?
Well, there was this pop-up group show called Free Anna Delvey back in March 2022 while she was still incarcerated. It featured art from 33 different artists who were apparently inspired by her story.
And she had her own pieces in there, I assume? Like the infamous ones we heard about?
Yeah, exactly. One of the pieces, Send Bitcoin,
showed her, seated in the red dress, working on a computer. And there were others like Anna on Ice and just Ice, referring to her time with Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Some outlets actually called her pieces doodles, but others, like Grunge, said the show generally displayed her in a sympathetic light.
Right. And then she had that solo show, allegedly in a Manhattan nightclub, if I recall. That was quite the spectacle.
It was. It opened in May 2022 with Kanye West's Flashing Lights playing and even a drag queen hyping up the crowd. Models walked around holding her drawings in gold-plated frames, and Anna herself addressed the crowd in a pre-recorded message, saying it was, quote, "my narrative from my perspective."
So she's essentially monetizing her own story and maintaining that public attention. And it wasn't just art, was it? She even got into NFTs?
She did. In June 2022, she announced the launch of her own collection of non-fungible tokens. She created 10 of them, and she claimed they would give holders exclusive access to her. It's a bold move, for sure.
Exclusive access to Anna Delvey. Wow. And she's been making appearances too, right? I saw something about her on a podcast with Paris Hilton.
Oh, yeah. In May 2022, she joined Paris Hilton and Nikki Rothschild on Paris's podcast, This is Paris. And then, get this, in September 2024, she actually participated in season 33 of Dancing with the Stars.
No way. Dancing with the Stars. Did she have to wear her ankle monitors?
She absolutely did. She was paired with professional dancer Ezra Sosa. And yes, she was required to wear her ICE mandated ankle monitor during the program. She was one of the first 2 celebrities eliminated. But hey, she was on it.
That's peak Anna Delvey, isn't it? Dancing with an ankle monitor on national television. It's like she's determined to stay relevant no matter what.
It totally. And she hosted an event on her rooftop apartment during New York Fashion Week in September 2023 while still under house arrest. She even modeled for SHAO New York in September 2024 and then again for Elena Velez in February 2025, still sporting that ankle monitor. She was also featured in The New Yorker in May 2025 in a portfolio about notable New Yorkers.
It's almost like she's redefined what house arrest means, turning it into her own personal stage. She really knows how to command public attention, even from behind bars or a restricted radius. It's quite something.
It truly is. I mean, when you look at Anna Delvey's story, it's more than just the con. It's almost, dare I say, a commentary on our fascination with wealth and status, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, Tora. It really makes you think about how easily people can be swayed by the appearance of success, and how identity itself can be kind of a performance in the modern age, especially with social media. She really should capitalize on that.
Yeah, she did. And her story, it just keeps captivating us, from the initial shock of the fraud to her continued presence in the media, whether it's through art or NFTs or even, dancing on TV. It's like she became this archetypal figure of deception and ambition.
It's true. It's almost like she holds up a mirror to society, reflecting our desires, our vulnerabilities, and, just how much we're willing to believe, especially when it comes to, the glitz and glamour of New York high society.
Well said. It certainly gives us a lot to chew on. And that brings us to the end of another episode of CrimePod Chronicles.
Thank you so much for tuning in and joining us on this wild ride through Anna Delvey's story. It's definitely one for the books.
Indeed. We'll be back next time with another captivating case. Until then, stay safe.
And stay skeptical. Good night, everyone.